Welcome to the Red Half of Sheffield preview pod for the final time, the culminating one you've all been waiting for, the summit to see who gets to the inglorious Premier League. I'm back to preview for a third time this season one of my all-time favorite guests, because I listen to him on a weekly basis on another podcast, but that's besides the point. We're here. Jimmy Ray is here from the Wise Men Say to preview the playoff final. Jimmy, how are you doing? And I'm glad to hear you still have a voice now from that absolute bonkers ending. How are you?
I'm just about recovered from Tuesday night, man. Yeah, it was honestly the best atmosphere I've ever witnessed as a Sunderland fan. I would say that game. We obviously had some great games against Newcastle and various other Premier League games, but I think the noise after that goal was something I've not heard before. The stadium roof could have come off. It was crazy. The Sunderland fan base now, we are pumped, to put it mildly, for Saturday. I think it's one of them where to score a goal of that magnitude at that time in a game that was that tight against a team who we haven't beat. I mean, let's not forget we hadn't won at Coventry in 40 years before we won there in the first leg. We barely ever beat them at home either. We have a terrible record against them. They're definitely one of our bogey clubs. To do it against them, especially given the way their fans were going on before the game, neutrals before the game, all had Coventry down to win it. We weren't really given a chance. It shows that the end to the season we had, where we basically just sacked off the last 10 games to get the players ready for the playoffs. Meant we went in bad form, but we showed it was the right thing to do. We've turned it back on again. And yeah, we're ready. So it's going to be a tough ask on Saturday for us. I think, obviously, against quite clearly the third best team in the league, in Sheffield United. Obviously, 92 points, a lot more points than we got. But after Tuesday night, I'm not going to lie, we give ourselves every chance. We are walking on air.
Yeah, it's as I said to you before. It seems like that how that finished Tuesday night is, that's in almost how many of these playoff finals have finished. Either a late goal in stoppage time or added time, or a late goal in extra time to prevent it from going to penalties. And it's almost like, with Tuesday night, that result coming in is just, you look at Sheffield United and winning clinically 6-0, the biggest, you're not going to hear any podcast that's going to preview this game without saying 6-0, the biggest thumping over two legs in a championship league playoff semifinal. And then you have Sunderland that wins in the last second of the game. It's almost a team in Sheffield United that doesn't, I wouldn't necessarily say they don't have any momentum, just kind of workmanlike, business-like, getting through the two legs, and then Sunderland having all of that momentum from that last-minute eager winner. And it's like, well, you got somebody who's just kind of marauding along, and then just this recent spike, as you mentioned, the form of Sunderland coming into this with so much off the back of that winner. How does this translate to, it'll be a better part of a week and a few days, week and a half about since each side had played the game for their last semifinal second leg. So everybody will calm down and kind of reset, but you like to think there's a little bit more momentum in that Sunderland camp coming into this.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, I think, it's the kind of moments. People say football comes down to moments. We've been on the wrong end of similar moments. We lost the playoff final against Charlton in 2019 with the last kick of the game, so we know how it goes on the other end. And yeah, I think the momentum you carry can be key. I mean, I will say that I think Sheffield United were very impressive in your games. I watched them both. I will obviously caveat B, Bristol City didn't exactly offer a lot. I think just getting to the playoffs for them was was the goal. I think the players were probably it was just two games too far for them. They were knackered, they were tired, they ran out of ideas as well. I think going down to 10 men in the first leg obviously was a major issue for them. That also meant they lost probably their best centre back as well for the second leg too, the suspension. So yeah, I think there's two sort of schools of thought on it. You could think, well, you have obviously had a much easier time of it. You've been able to, you know, the players haven't had to play that second leg really anything like 100%. It was probably the nicest way for you to ease through it. Like you said, it was business-like, it was clinical, it was easy. But at the same time, although our players had to go through that extra half hour of added time against a Coventry team who were, streets ahead of what Bristol City looked like against you, I think, in fairness to Coventry, they did dominate large parts of both games, albeit I think it was a tactic. Well, I say I think I know it was a tactic of ours to let them have the ball, because as we showed against you on New Year's Day when we beat you at the Stadium of Light, I think our pace on the break is key to a lot of what we do well. And obviously, in order to hit people on the break, you need to concede space, so you get space in behind the defence to run into, which we used to devastating effect against Coventry in the first leg. And in the second leg, I think it was just the pure desire of our young team, and we've got the youngest side age-wise in the league by quite a way. But they showed some serious balls to pull that off against the odds, really. Because Coventry, like I said, did play well. They were obviously fancied by a lot of people. Although what I would suggest is that the way we won the game means we are going into this final now with so much momentum and belief. If I was a Sheffield United fan, I would probably rather be playing Coventry, if I'm honest, than playing us. Both because you quite easily beat the Coventry in the league not long ago, whereas both games and got a point away, whereas both games against us were very hard fought. I think there was very little to separate us at Bramall Lane or at the Stadium of Light. I think one win each was probably fair. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. Two totally different styles, two very different managers, two very, very different types of squads. Obviously, yours is you have some excellent sort of Premier League level players, if you like. Likes of Kiefer Moore as well, a great Championship level player. You've got Amahodzic and Robinson, great centre backs. Obviously, Rob Holding coming in from Arsenal, great signing. Your midfield of Sousa, Peck, and Hamer. Obviously, Hamer's probably your best player, arguably one of the best players in the league. Certainly, would walk into our team. But at the same time, we have the threats. I mean, we saw what Mayenda and Isidore can do to Sheffield United when they both scored against you in January. Obviously, we now have Enzo Lefebvre, who would be our Hamer, if you like. The guy who can make a bit of magic happen. He obviously got 2 assists. One in the first leg, one in the second leg against Coventry. He's the bit of quality that just makes the difference, even though he's barely been able to play in his preferred position. He now will be able to because he's been filling in on the left, but Romain Mundel's now back. Came on against Coventry in the second leg, vastly improved us when he did come on and allowed Lefebvre to move inside, which is where he'll play on Saturday with Mundel on the left, most likely. So I think it's going to be a battle, a real big battle. Obviously, your two centre mids in Peck and Suze will be up against Bellingham and Neil. So that's 4 really high quality midfielders up against each other. We've got Hume, one of the best right backs in the league, up against obviously your Harrison Burrows, one of the best left backs in the league. You've got Dennis Sirkin, another promising left back for us, going to be up against some tricky wingers, probably Jesrin Raksaki or someone like that. It's going to be individual battles all over the pitch. And there's not going to be much to separate us, but I don't know. It's going to come down to moments. And I know Sheffield United have been in the Premier League recently and you haven't enjoyed it, but I think you all really want to get back up again anyway, don't you? Just in the very least, just to have the achievement there and obviously be able to keep your players and get some much needed income with your takeover and stuff. So for me, it's going to be a big battle. We're obviously 10 years out of the Premier League now. For a club of our size, obviously the longest time we've ever spent outside of the top flight of English football since 1879, when we were founded. So it's been a long old time for us as a fan base to not have experienced top flight football. If we go up this year, it will be a nice rounding off towards being the worst part of our history, the last 10 years really. But we're finally on our way back. Nights like Tuesday night show we're on our way back. I mean, that noise was something else. You know, I'm sure any other fan base in the league would love to be able to have a stadium that generates that much noise and that much atmosphere in the way that ours did. It's something that we're very proud of. And it's something that we need to use because obviously we will have that entire we have obviously sold out of our full allocation. We did so within, I think, less than 48 hours of tickets going on sale for Saturday. The buzz is real for this playoff final on Saturday. We're all going to be in London for the weekend. I'm going down on Friday. I know a lot of my mates are. Sunderland will be taking over central London as we always do when we play at Wembley. We'll be around Covent Garden, Trafalgar Square. If any Blades want to come meet us for a pint, we will be gracious. We have no rivalries with you guys, so be more than welcome to come down and share a few beers before the game. Get the red and white going from on both sides. Turn London red and white if we can, and then may the best club win. As you know, my wife's a Sheffield United fan. She's going to be in the Sheffield United end with her family. Me and my mates and my family will be in the Sunderland end. It's going to be one hell of a day for me personally, and also for the clubs in general. So yeah, I can't wait, man.
No kidding. I mean, you answered everything I was going to ask and basically summed it up. No, you know it's perfect. I like it because it's almost like you read my mind of where I was going to go, and besides it being a Chad Jarvis derby, it's also the Jimmy Ray family derby as well as I mentioned. Yeah. So, when you broke down the teams, both one another going up against each other, I don't see how this is maybe a 1-1 game, but I think this has I don't know how either one of our hearts would make it if it went to added time and then it went to penalties. Yeah. I'd wanna just slam my head against some concrete, not watch the last, probably half hour to 45 minutes if it went all the way. But these are, as it has been for the entire season, these two teams have been, if you quantify Burnley and Leeds as a group of, though they were the best teams in this league, Sunderland and Sheffield United, wholeheartedly, 100%, were miles better than the rest of the league.
Yeah.
When it comes,
the fact that we basically stopped playing from April and still finished so far ahead of anybody else, even though we were almost deliberately trying not to win at times, just to try and preserve, as much fitness as possible, and the fact that we just dropped points left, right, and centre because we knew the games didn't matter, and like you say, we still finished comfortably ahead of everybody else by you, and probably would have finished closer to Sheffield United had we needed more points, but we just didn't need them. We knew we couldn't go up automatically. We knew we were unlikely to catch you in third, so we just sort of stopped, and we still didn't move. So yeah, I agree totally. I think Leeds and Burnley earlier on in the season, I kind of hoped, because I really don't like either of those two teams, that they weren't going to go up, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. So fair play to them. I don't really care about Leeds or Burnley. I think they were good, but there's real clear reasons why. I mean, they had a lot more money, a lot more expensive players, and a lot bigger squads than either of us did. Because let's not forget, Sheffield United did not have your standard parachute payment squad. You had a lot of financial issues, which meant that you actually had to lose some players you probably wouldn't want to lose. You weren't able to sign players you probably didn't want to sign. So you didn't really. I think on paper, people can look. Obviously, you did make some big signings. The Tom Cannon fee stands out, things like that. So obviously, there has been money available, but not to the same degree that Leeds and Burnley and teams like that have had. So I think for Chris Wilder to manage what's been a tough season, obviously with like the George Baldock thing and everything like that as well, I think it's been a hard season for Sheffield United. So I think you've done really well to get where you are. Obviously, I hope that you lose on Saturday, but I think you've had a season to be proud of regardless. And I think Wilder has done a great job. He's not everyone's cup of tea. I think he quite likes that he's not everyone's cup of tea, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying that.
Exactly.
But yeah, he does remarkable things when he's in charge of Sheffield United, and I think for any fan to be in the position that he's in to manage the club they love would be both an emotional roller coaster and probably the hardest, but also the most
Yeah.
rewarding job you could have. So, yeah, it's going to be a big one on Saturday, man. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward.
it is. And as far as score predictions, it doesn't matter. At this point we don't need score predictions. Jimmy
Nah,
is going with Sunderland, obviously, and
yeah.
I am hoping for a 0-0, a penalty, all the way to penalties, and then they just say neither team goes up, and we just play in this division again. So that's my honest thoughts. I will be torn. It will be like someone's kicking me in the groin with a steel toe boot for a better part of 2.5, 3 hours. But yeah, we this is going to put a bow on the final preview pod for the season. Jimmy, tell the folks where they can find the great podcast Wiseman Say.
Yeah, so we are going to be. We've got a lot of content coming out in the build up to the game. We're going to be releasing 2 pods this week. We are at Wise Men Say Pod or on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Spotify, and various other pod platforms as well. So we will be doing some preview pods. We'll be getting some ex-players on. We will be previewing the game. We're also going to try and do a couple of things a bit special, which I won't release just yet in London, in and around London at the weekend. So, if there are any Blades fans who want to, see what the opposition are thinking, then keep your eye on our feed across the week and into the weekend as well. And if any Blades want to come and buy me a pint in London, they are more than welcome to. Just drop me a message on Twitter. I will tell you where I am, and mine's a Guinness. Thank you very much.
There you go. There you go. If you haven't done so already, Red Half of Sheffield all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Red Sheffield, YouTube. If this goes up for a YouTube video, which I have no idea if it will, like and subscribe over there on the YouTubes. This will be an au revoir to this season, and look to see whatever division we are in next year. I'll probably be back on the mic running my mouth aimlessly about some stupid thing tied to Sheffield United. So I will leave you with, until next season, I'll leave you with an Up the Blades.